There are moments in Formula One that go far beyond cold statistics and fixed grid positions. These are occasions when sharp instinct, accumulated experience, and precise perception of the moment transform the course of an entire weekend or, in some cases, an entire season. And it was precisely in Miami that Lewis Hamilton starred in one of these remarkable events. Faced with uncertain weather forecasts, with the track showing partially dry and wet sections, and the entire paddock immersed in doubt, the British driver made a decision that even the most experienced Ferrari engineers could not anticipate, a strategic move that did not come from the pit wall, but from the refined sensitivity of someone inside the cockpit, a move so bold that it surprised even his own team and left his competitors completely lost, desperately trying to formulate a response. This is the narrative behind that unexpected decision, behind a subtle yet decisive radio communication, behind the audacity to deviate from the conventional script and take a high-stakes risk when almost no one else had the courage to act. While many stood still, Hamilton did what true champions do. He trusted himself, and that decision not only placed him on the podium, but also triggered a complete turnaround in the Miami Grand Prix, reaffirming to Ferrari and the world the exact reason why they brought him in. But before we break down in detail how this bold strategy was implemented and how the outcomes of the sprint race might directly influence Ferrari's approach to the main race, go ahead and support this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the end, because what you are about to watch could mark the exact moment when this season took a completely new turn. As the lights went out on the North American circuit, a sense of uncertainty quickly spread among the drivers and teams. The track was not dry enough for slick tires, nor wet enough to justify intermediate. It was that classic gray and treacherous condition, where grip changes with each sector and risks increase exponentially. Most drivers, faced with that, adopted a defensive stand. The teams carefully analyzed the data, waiting for a bolder one to take the first step. It was the kind of moment when the fear of making a mistake is greater than the will to get it right, and hesitation spreads like an epidemic through the garages. But Hamilton, unlike the others, did not falter. He did not hesitate. Instead of following the group behavior, he trusted his gut, what he felt through the steering wheel, his almost instinctive reading of the asphalt. And then, he made a decision that required immense courage. He switched to soft tires even before any other driver had even considered that option. It was not a decision extracted from charts or wind tunnel simulations. It was purely intuitive, a reflection of a career forged under pressure, with countless victories and lessons over the years. Ferrari, meanwhile, chose to be cautious. On paper, it seemed like a hasty gamble. The circuit was still inconsistent. The risk of tire overheating was real, but Hamilton was confident. His message over the radio was firm and calm. There was no question, only determination. At that moment, the hierarchy was reversed. He stopped being just an executor and became the strategist. And that was when everything began to shift. Once he returned to the track, it looked like the other cars were standing still. Hamilton was gaining ground lap after lap, exploring every centimeter of extra grip, as if dancing on a tightrope. His racing lines were nearly flawless, his corner exits sharp, his braking precise. He overtook opponents with such mastery that it was like watching a choreographed performance. In just a few laps, he turned what seemed like a regular Saturday into a masterclass of real-time decision-making and track reading. He crossed the finish line in third place, but the most important thing was not the number. It was the way he rewrote the narrative of that weekend, with composure, with boldness, with leadership in the midst of chaos. And that is where the real impact lies. Hamilton did not only benefit himself, he reignited Ferrari's competitive spirit. A team that, on several occasions, had frozen in the face of doubt, was reminded of the importance of listening to the driver, of trusting the visceral feeling from the steering wheel, not just spreadsheets. Hamilton did not just score points, he inspired confidence in his race engineer, in the strategists, in everyone watching from the pit wall. And psychologically, this may have been the most symbolic turning point of the season so far. After weeks filled with technical challenges, difficulties in finding the ideal performance window, and falling behind McLaren, Red Bull, and even Mercedes in some sessions, this moment in Miami represents a paradigm shift. a reminder that they still have a weapon capable of changing the course of things. And this happened after a complicated phase, marked by failed updates, inconclusive data, and public statements full of uncertainty. Even so, Hamilton was there, taking risks when it mattered, and proving that even with an imperfect car, he can still deliver moments of pure excellence. Now, with the main race approaching, the atmosphere inside Ferrari is different. The team arrives on Sunday with more confidence, with renewed momentum, with real reasons to fight. And all this started from a decision made in real time by a driver who saw what no one else saw and had the audacity to act. For the rivals, this serves as a serious warning. It does not matter how difficult this year has been for Hamilton, he is still Lewis Hamilton. And that means that, at any moment, under any weather condition, he can think faster, drive more precisely, and turn a mid-tier car into a serious threat, with courage and sharp instinct. What comes next may reshape Ferrari's future for the remainder of the 2025 season. If the team decides to embrace this new approach, fully trust Hamilton's instincts, and respond openly to his leadership, then what we witnessed on Saturday could be remembered as the beginning of a new era, a philosophical transformation, an unexpected fresh start, the moment Ferrari stopped being limited by fear and began evolving through boldness. And the big question now is, was this just an isolated spark, or are we witnessing the birth of a new chapter in this partnership? What Hamilton built in Miami goes far beyond a podium finish in a sprint race. He redrew the relationship between driver and team. He established a solid bridge between trust and execution. He changed the inner dynamics of the team, and more than that, he made it clear that his arrival at Ferrari was not just a uniform change. It was a bet on something greater, on a strategic mind, on a leader capable of influencing not only lap times, but the entire ecosystem around the team. And what we saw this past weekend might have been exactly the proof they needed to validate that bet. A clear message to the rest of the grid. Even on difficult days, even with technical disadvantages, Hamilton can bring an entire operation back into contention with a single, well-placed decision. That kind of influence is rare. And when that spark starts to burn within a team, the effects can be devastating for the competition. But all of this is just the beginning. What Ferrari chooses to do next will be decisive. Will they give Hamilton more voice, more influence, more responsibility? Will they finally build a strategy around his instincts? Or will they keep trying to mold him into old framework? Because if they follow the example from Miami and listen more closely to what he has to say, this podium will no longer be seen as a consolation prize. It will be recognized as a turning point. The moment Ferrari stopped doubting and began to believe. The moment when Lewis Hamilton not only drove the car but also guided the team's destiny. And now we want to hear your opinion. Was this just a bold decision under difficult conditions, or are we witnessing the beginning of a new and transformative chapter between Hamilton and Ferrari?